All right, everybody, welcome in and welcome back. Season 4, Episode 6, aka our 119th show. Andy, I am already labeling this show the Bad Omen. It's
Yeah,
just, it is what it is.
we were already talking. We were talking a little bit before the podcast, and just hearing what's happening to your jersey as well. Like it's come to that point where it starts disintegrating when you're just doing your usual maintenance to it. Yeah, that's the start of the bad omens, man. But do you want
Yeah.
to just kind of
It's,
do you just kind of want to lay it on and get it out now so it
yeah.
stops eating you on the inside?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was pretty happy with the Detroit sports over the weekend with the Lions win and the Tigers taking 1 of 2 against the Mariners away. And
Yeah.
I was feeling pretty
Well,
good.
yeah, and then what's just recently happened? Tigers have just lost, so they
Ugh,
are now
great.
one game away,
Away.
1 game away from tying it, but also 1 game away from elimination. So
Being
that's not great.
eliminated. Yeah.
My brother actually went to the game, so I'm feeling for
Ah,
him going to his second playoff game. It's a second loss for him. So
yeah.
sorry, this is about your misery, not
It's
not my family's. Sorry.
it's all right. Yeah. So I went to put on a soccer jersey as I normally do for this podcast. I wanted to stay away from Barcelona because I'm not feeling it based on the last 2 games. Only come to find out, I pull out the jersey and like half of the numbers and some of the letters have just like fallen off the jersey, which I don't know how that happened because I always wash it inside out to prevent that from happening. Because if you wash it right side out, it can happen. But it's just a bad omen. And speaking of bad omens, let's just rip the band-aid off. Let's get into the Barcelona results from this past week. Andy, it was a piss poor performance against PSG with a 2-1 defeat. I
Ooh.
mean, it was tightly contested, 1-1 at halftime. Barcelona looked like the better team in the first half, especially after the first 5-10 minutes, but we're only able to put 1 goal on the board and gave up a goal with like 5-10 minutes left in the half. And it was tightly contested. It was back and forth. And I think one of my biggest takeaways, though, was Lamine Yamal did not look 100%. He looked at you like he was
Mhm.
probably 50-60%.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember if it was him or somebody else forced Nuno Mendes, who was playing left back, to pick up a yellow card in the first half. And I was like, well, this is going to be great. Lamine Yamal is
hmm
actually going to cook him in the second half because he can be aggressive and Nuno Mendes can't be, right?
hmm
But he just like didn't do anything in the second half. And I think the only explanation that I could say is like he didn't feel 100%,
Yeah.
which was disappointing. So I mean, him being kind of banged up, not being able to play Rafinha or Firmino with his injuries definitely hurt against a team like PSG who spreads the field. Barcelona really needed people who could attack space and do well with space, and we were without 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
Disappointing to say the least, but um,
How did the scoreline kind of go? Did Barcelona put up back a fight, or did PSG just come out swinging with two goals back to back?
no, it,
How
it
the
it
goals
happened
happen?
late. The goal was scored very, very late on in the game.
Mm,
Balde got kind of caught up field in a transition play, and this was basically his first game back from injury after not having played really that much. I mean, he came on in the game previous to this one, but again, with like 20-30 minutes left, like he did in this game, and he got caught way too far inside. He basically took Kubarsi's position, and then Kubarsi got back. But before he could reset to his left back position, the ball got played out wide, and Barcelona got caught with the high line.
crap. Yeah.
So it was tough. I'm going to preface this all by saying Barcelona did not play well enough to win the game. One thing I
Yeah.
will say, there were 2 very key refereeing decisions that I think Michael Oliver got wrong. And I would say the first one was there was a ball played in the box. Eric Garcia lifts his foot up to control the ball, wins the ball in the air, and a PSG defender kicks him in the back of the foot trying to get the ball.
hmm
Anywhere else on the field to play, it's a clear foul.
Yeah.
Because it's in the box, I think it's a foul. And I think it
Yeah.
should be a penalty because I don't think fouls should change in the penalty box, especially something like that where somebody gets kicked.
Yeah.
Like it's not they're both tussling for the ball. It's a clear kick. It's late. The fact that VAR doesn't call him over to take a look at it, I think was kind of dumb, but that's neither here nor
Yeah.
there.
That sounds dumb. I am pro the opinion of if it's a foul outside the box, it should be a foul in the box. I think
Yeah.
it's I
Yeah.
think it gets the only place I maybe don't see it is if it gets potentially just like a little bit rougher in terms of like people like kind of falling down. But
Yes.
like that was not the case here. This was very
Right.
much like a huge contact with your foot. Like that's a
Yeah.
penalty. That's a
Yeah.
penalty in that area.
Yeah.
It's just
So,
how
and
it
that,
is.
as it would have happened, that would have given Barcelona a 2-1 lead if Barcelona were able to convert it, you know.
Mm,
But
yeah.
I think the second one is Nuno Mendes had quite a few fouls in this game. And in the second half, Lamine Yamal made his kind of prototypical darting run across the top of the box with the ball. He is getting ready to shoot, and Nuno Mendes comes and chops him down from behind. And to
Yeah.
me, it's a clear and obvious second yellow because Lamine Yamal is getting ready to shoot. Nuno Mendes, because he takes him down from behind with no attempt to play the ball, I think that's the second yellow. Again, I'm biased in this
Yeah.
one. If you're a neutral, you might not see it that way, but it I don't know,
Yeah.
man. It would have changed the outcome of the game. It would have changed the face of the game for sure. And I can understand a little bit from Michael Oliver's point of view not wanting to do that. But again, to me, if he didn't have a first yellow, it would have been a clear yellow card, irregardless of the other challenges before that. But
Yeah. Because I would think letter of the law too. Because I don't know if you had touched on this. If he is also the last, or if he's like the last defender and he makes that play.
yeah, he wasn't, but
Mhm.
there was another defender in front of Yamal, but Lamine was going to shoot before that defender got to him. Like he is
Okay.
getting ready to shoot and gets taken down from behind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just anytime coming from behind, from how I understand it, anytime you're coming from behind and you make contact on like that on that backswing or that even that follow through, that's still a foul. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd feel hard done by that
Yeah.
call. I would,
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
I did from those two decisions. I really did. Now, again, Barcelona did not play well enough to win that game in the second half. I preface that. I'm going to bookend it by saying that because if Barcelona had played better, Barcelona would have won that game,
Yeah.
regardless of refereeing decisions. Now, we don't get any points. I think my biggest positive takeaway from this, Andy, though, Pedri is the best midfielder in the world. And I think one of my big things watching this matchup was Vitinha versus Pedri. And
Mm-hmm.
Vitinha, I would say, played a good game. And the only reason I would say he didn't play a great game is because he had a really horrible turnover where he kicked the
Mm-hmm.
ball to Lamine Yamal that Barcelona turned PSG over and played a ball in to Rashford, who played a first-time ball across the face of goal to Ferran Torres for the opening goal. It was a horrible giveaway. And if
Yeah.
you're the best midfielder in the world, you cannot give the ball away like that.
Yeah,
That
that's a
then
cheap
leads to
giveaway.
it. Yeah, 100%. And so there was that. And I think just watching the two of them on the field, Vitinha played better in the second half, especially towards the end of the game. But watching those two go at it in the midfield, it was very clear to me Pedri was the best player in the world. And I don't know how he finishes 12th in the Ballon d'Or rankings and Vitinha finishes third. I don't get that. But
The only way
that
that
was
makes sense is Scott McTominay finishes number one. That's the only way it makes sense to me.
gosh. You're just gonna keep beating that drum. You're just gonna keep
Yeah.
beating
It's not a
that
dead
drum.
horse yet. You said it. You said it was a drum. It's not a dead horse yet. So we're
Yes.
just waiting for that to be a dead horse.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, unless the drum is made of horsehide and then, then it is a dead horse.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Anyway.
Could be. But anyway, I do agree with you. I think I haven't seen a whole ton of Pedri, but I have seen one individual that I very much respect, and he labels Pedri as the best player in La Liga. So I'm going to give that. I think I'd give that to him. But anyway, continue. Continue on.
So that was PSG. Really disappointing. But, again, Barcelona didn't play well enough to win the game. Speaking of not playing well enough to win the game, Sevilla absolutely soared past Barcelona with a 4-1 scoreline, Andy. And this one really hurt.
No.
This one really hurt. Barcelona gives up a goal early, actually goes down 2-0 early, and just absolutely picked apart. It honestly looks like this time last year, where Barcelona got hit by some injuries, trying to put square pegs in round holes, fill different positions, and it's just not working.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I want Hansi to be less stubborn and drop back and play a deeper line.
Yeah.
Possession was pretty similar between the two teams. So Barcelona not being on the ball as much led to more opportunities for Sevilla. and it just did not go well. I
Mm-hmm.
think literally the one silver lining was Rashford scored again. So
Mm-hmm.
he had a nice volley off of a kind of like a chip through ball over the top to pull it back at the very end of the first half to give Barcelona a chance. And that's now 7 straight games with at least one goal contribution for Rashford. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So he's in good form.
he
Yeah.
is. He really, really is. And that's been really good to see. But I really want to see Rafinha back because I think just the option of him just makes Barcelona so much better. So
Yeah.
Barcelona did get a penalty awarded to them the 70 to 80th minute, somewhere in that range. And Lewandowski had the opportunity to score and just missed the goal.
Oh
Missed
no.
the post. It was on the ground, so at least had a chance. It wasn't over the top of the net, but
Yeah.
I mean that would have made it 2-2. That could have changed the outcome of the game. Could have salvaged a point for Barcelona, but
Yeah.
it's just yeah. And then Barcelona gave up 2 goals in like the 90 plus minutes, the
Shoot.
stoppage time, and just we just don't look ourselves. We really
Yeah.
don't. We look tired, and I think injuries definitely plays into a part of that because you don't have as many subs or as many bodies or as many
Mm-hmm.
options as we've had it earlier in the season. And
Yeah.
I think we need this international break to just reset. I
Mm-hmm.
also, speaking of international break, Luis de la Fuente is a you know what. He's the national team coach of Spain, and he is
Mm-hmm.
like Lamine has to play, and Barcelona's like, what do you mean he's still not 100%? So they're
Yeah.
kind of going back and forth on that. I don't know how that's all going to play out, but
Yeah.
everybody from Barcelona blames Luis de la Fuente for playing Lamine Yamal in 2 meaningless games when they were clearly winning and not playing him off the field, creating the initial groin discomfort that is now
Mhm.
resurfacing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'd feel really hard done by that,
yeah,
honestly, because especially in that scenario, it's not like Spain needs it. Like, give them a rest, especially early on in the season. Like, this is like you have seen, this is kind of the time injuries start creeping back up just
yep,
from preseason and then hitting the ground running with like the actual regular season happening.
yeah,
So yeah, like still just gotta be careful. And he's young. Like that's going to happen, these injuries, because he's right not conditioned for it. This is only his 3rd year in
mm-hmm.
the league.
Yep,
So
third full
yeah,
year.
he's putting on a lot more miles for it.
Yep,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's not great.
it's not,
Yeah.
but
I,
it is what it is. It's one of those things where, we went through the same thing last year where we just, did not play very well in this stretch of the season. October into November was a really tough stretch. And I'm hoping that we can recover a little bit quicker than we did last year rather than having a rough 2 months. Hopefully we can have a rough
yeah.
2 weeks instead. So but we'll see
Yeah,
how it
I guess.
goes.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything like what's the positive you're thinking is different this year than from last year? Not to say it's like history repeating itself.
Yeah.
What I guess gets what makes you confident that this is going to be different?
I think the sheer number of bodies that we have and the talent that is contained within those bodies, within those players.
Hmm.
You know, I think once we get back to being healthy again, the amount of talent that we have to bring a player like Rashford, if he doesn't start, I mean, he might continue to start with everything that's going on.
Yeah,
You know,
I think he's
if
got
Lamine
to,
Yamal,
right?
say again.
I think he's got to at this point.
I mean,
Like he's the
yeah,
only goal contribute, like only one contributing goals and assists right now
yeah,
with the
yeah.
injuries. So
Yeah, so if Lamine Yamal continues to be banged up and Rafinha comes back, you put him on the right side, right?
mhm.
And you have that combo of Rashford and Rafinha on the dueling wings, and the ability to bring in a player like Fermin who really grew last year.
Mhm.
Both him and Rafinha really really grew last year, and I just think the bodies I think are really going to help us now. Defensively, I think Inigo Martinez leaving really hurts Barcelona more than we have had realized before, and I think we're currently realizing how much it has really affected us. But I think also having Balde back healthier on that left side it just helps Barcelona so much more because Gerard Martin, he played a solid game against PSG, but he is just not able to keep up with the pace that these players have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until he is able to get either technically better or physically faster, he is always going to be a piece that is used off the bench when Balde is healthy.
Yeah.
Because Balde he completely changes the game. He can run he can make those runs up and down. He play more offensively than Jordan Martin can, because Jordan Martin's like, I can't get back fast enough, so I can't play as far forward. So again,
Yeah.
it's just the talent that Barcelona has at those different positions. I think understanding the Hansi system better this year as well, I think that gives us a better chance of kind of recovering and not only having little lapses in play as opposed to the long one that we had last year. But again, time will tell. We have to change quite a few things at this time anyway. So, everybody's going to think the sky's falling, especially some of our media, some of our fans, some of the trolls on the internet, preying on our downfall. I'm going to quote NF here, one of my favorite artists, just let them pray. Let them pray on our downfall. Go for it. Go for it. Because we will come back.
Yeah.
It's a speed
bump. Good. It's good that you have the confidence, and I think your team obviously has the reason to be confident, because again, like look where they went last year, even after their spill of form. Like, they got to the semifinals of the Champions League.
Yeah.
And they still won the league last year. Yeah. So, like, with all that being said, I think still going to happen. So yeah, that's good. That's good. There's going to be a quicker bounce back for that, because hopefully that means just longer for you guys in the Champions League. Who are you guys facing next week?
It's international break next week.
Or next match day.
Next match, yes. Let me get that for you. We are facing Girona in the league, and then Olympiacos midweek for our Champions League game.
Okay, so I would say a little bit easier of a matchup. I'm not sure how we can go into Girona when we get to La Liga, just seeing how they're doing with it. But still reason to be optimistic, I think, for that, where it's not you're not going into you're not meeting Athletic Madrid or Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid heading into that. So
that's
better
game
reasons.
3. That's in 3 games.
Okay, so there's time.
We've got time to get pretty much Rafinha, Fermin, and Joan Garcia should, as long as they don't get any setbacks, should be back in time for those games, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Andy, speaking of the sky falling and crazy things happening, United got a win. Yeah,
so apparently sky is not falling anymore, to the surprise of everyone in the media and the internet. I don't know. I'm just kind of reminded of a thing Michael Caine said, is that some people just like to watch the world burn. And
Michael Caine.
I think Michael Caine. What an actor. What an actor, by the way.
100%.
But anyway, from the bounce back, obviously this game became a pretty critical game. And I think if I'm thinking about this and seeing what's kind of come out after for United, I will tease it with, this was a big game, I think, for the fans to kind of see where Amorim is at. Because I think if he had lost this game, like I had said, he was going to be gone, because I think there would just be mounting fan pressure to be like, we're not getting results, get him out. I think that would have happened. But what ended up happening was United got an early goal from some good pressure, just a faster, I think, pace and start and understanding from having Mount actually play on the left number 10 role. Controlled it with his left, hits it on the side. I think, was it side volley? I think it was side volley. With his right into the bottom left or bottom right of the goal. Start off 1-0 in the 8th minute. Perfect. You've probably heard me say in the past couple episodes that we've always started out really well, and we've just never have gotten the goal. Well, this time we finally got the goal, and I think that put everyone at ease. In the 30th minute, followed up with another goal from a long throw-in from Diogo Dalot, and it was kind of the mix-up what happened with Sunderland, and the ball ended up falling right to Sashko, who got his first goal at Old Trafford. I think what's pretty significant about that is he's a younger guy that's come in already, and he's getting goals within his, 5th, 6th game at United, when United really need goals. And so getting that extra goal there, I think, really helped put the game to bed. So I think that's a sign of how this could be a little bit different than where we had with Rasmus Højlund or other strikers, where we'd get them in, and they'd really struggled to find the net or struggled to score. But Šeško is finding ways to score, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think for me, from what I was seeing, just the difference in the game and why this one felt different was with Mount, Amad Diallo, and Lenny Euro, our defender. Just so much faster. Like, they just look more dangerous in attack. They can transition. Mount has a better, I think, understanding of how things operate, and he knows when to defend a little bit better, and he will track back, and that just makes us harder to play through. And with Lenny Euro, we have speed now, because we can put what's his name, Matthias de Ligt, as opposed to Harry Maguire at the center back role, and so we're just a bit faster, so we can get back and we can cover, and so that's a big thing.
Yeah.
We also started a new goalkeeper. His last name is Lemons, or Lamens. I'm blanking on his first name, but I really liked him. I think it was his first debut. Big, I think, expectations on him to come in on that, where so much of the fans are, uneasy of what's going to happen next. But he has been specifically brought in and targeted because he is a bigger, more vocal and stronger presence in the 6-yard box. Like, I've never seen from United, and this makes me happy that this is who United kind of are, in that he got a standing ovation by going out to claim his first cross, or first time a ball was kind of coming in and floated in. That would never have happened with Onana and Altay Bayındır, because they simply would not have done that. But he is the stronger presence, and I'm hopeful that this is going to trickle on for the rest of the defense, knowing that they have someone that's solid at the back.
Yeah.
Again, or I don't know if I mentioned this, he is very young. He comes from Royal Antwerp, which was his former club. And so it's a big jump from that to the Premier League. But if he keeps that kind of presence about him, I think that's going to have a ripple effect to everything else, because people will be a little bit better at corners, defending our corners, if we got a goalkeeper that's going to come out there, and it's going to make this defense a little bit more at ease, knowing that they have a goalkeeper who is going to be aggressive. So I'm hopeful for that to happen. Only drawback, Paul, that I thought I saw with the game is how much of a difference players make in our system. In the second half, we took off Mount. We took off, I think, maybe we took off Mbumo, and I think we took out no, it wasn't Ugarte. Maybe it was Ugarte. No, because we brought on Ugarte. It's escaping me now, but the point is, we brought on Casemiro, we brought on Kobe Mainu, and we brought on Mateusz Cunha, and that midfield of Casemiro and Kobe Mainu does not work. It simply doesn't. There's not legs in there. I love Kobe Mainu. I want him to succeed, and I hope he can transition into a midfielder, but he doesn't have the bite to him in defense that I think we need. So he doesn't have that. He can develop his passing. I definitely know he can, but I think overall he's not there yet. So I understand why he's not being played. And so I hope people and I hope fans don't hold that over his head. I hold that over Amarim's head, and I hope they don't hold it over Kobe Mainu's head, and that he really needs to play in the 10 role. And we have about 7 number 10s that could be fitting into that role. So we'll see. But all that to say, it's just nice to get a professional win and just a somewhat comfortable win. I've missed that feeling. So happy to have that back there. So the vibe over here is a little bit easier on that.
Is good. That's good. Andy, speaking of wins, Bundesliga, Bayern wins.
They keep on winning. They keep on winning with a 3-0 win in their last game over Eintracht Frankfurt. So that puts him in the lead with 18 points in the Bundesliga. Dortmund and Leipzig actually met up on this weekend, Paul, which would end up being probably a pretty seismic clash for the Bundesliga. With if either one losing, that could have serious consequences for I think later in the season. But they decided to split honors with a 1-1 draw. So that leaves Dortmund with 14 points and RB Leipzig with 13 for the rest of the Bundesliga, Paul. Checking
Yeah.
in on the rest of the league, Paul. What does La Liga look like?
More bad news, Andy.
No, don't
More
say
bad
this. No.
news for Barcelona. So Real Madrid got a win, and they ended up beating Villareal 3-1, and Atletico Madrid ended up drawing Celta de Vigo. So what that means for the standings: Real Madrid is in first with 21 with points, Barcelona second with 19, Villareal with 16, and Atletico Madrid stay in fifth with 13 points. They're kind of like a roller coaster this season, Andy. They're up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can sense some frustration if they, were able to overcome Real Madrid in their thrashing, and then they draw with Celta Vigo.
Yeah.
I could sense some frustration happening there with their fan base.
Yep. So, Andy, I want to hear about Napoli in Serie A, especially Rasmus Højlund, because I saw what happened in the Napoli game.
Yeah, so Napoli ended up winning. I think they played against. It wasn't Fiorentina, but yeah, Rasmus Højlund got on the goal sheet
Twice.
Good for him. I'm honestly very happy for Rasmus Højlund. I have nothing bad to say about him.
I am so sorry. That was in the Champions League game over Sporting. I am so sorry.
Oh man,
Napoli played Genoa, but Højlund did get on the score sheet.
He's good. Rasmus Højlund is good when he's running into space, but he struggles with bodying up against defenders. Sure. I think that's where he struggles because he has to use more technical ability, which he does have, but he's better in space because he can use his speed and his power from his running that way. So that's why I think there's a little bit of a difference, because guess who's doing kind of that bodying up? I think is Romelu Lukaku. He's kind of fulfilling that role, and he can kind of handle that. Sure. And then you have Rasmus Højlund running off him. It's a good combination. So I'm glad that's working for him. But you know who also won is AS Roma this weekend, and they played Fiorentina. They got the win as well to actually keeping pace with Napoli with 15 points apiece. Wow. Inter blew out or had a blowout, and their win was a 4-1 victory for them. So they kind of maybe moving up the table from last year. They were obviously the contenders against Napoli. But I think right now it looks like the biggest threat to Napoli's dominance is going to be AC Milan. However, they were held in a goalless draw against Juve. So what that looks like in Serie A is Napoli and Roma are at 15 points apiece, with AC Milan with 13 points. Heading now to Serie C, I'm really jazzed about this, Paul. Cosenza has won yet again. So that's 3 wins in a row for Cosenza in Serie C, which is making me very happy, only because I don't know if we've talked about this, but in Serie C, they have a playoff to get into Serie B, and it's a longer playoff because I believe it's only the top 1 or 2 clubs from Serie C who get to go in. Because actually, Serie C is split into 3 different regions. So if you're in the top, you, I think, automatically advance. Whereas if you are in the bottom rungs, you then have to play the other Serie C divisions in there. So if Cosenza keep this up, this is looking good for them. So always good to start off with a bang. So, Paul, how are we
Yeah.
looking when it comes now to the Premier League? What is going on?
Sure. So we had a little bit of a shakeup up at the top. Liverpool ended up losing to Chelsea 2-1, while Arsenal beat West Ham 2-0. So Arsenal leapfrogs Liverpool into first place with 16 points. Liverpool remains at 15. And then Tottenham and Bournemouth, Andy, of all teams, hot behind at 14 points.
They're having a good start. And you know
Yeah.
what? It's really their home. I'd say their home, home park, their home ground is a very, very tough place to play. I think Vitality Stadium, I think it's called. That's a tough place to play. The wind gets swirling around there since they're on the south coast. All that wind coming in from the English Channel, I think, just makes it a hard place to play.
Yeah.
Just ask David De Gea, who gave up 2 Olympicos, I think, in a game
Oh,
because of
gosh.
that. So, yeah, maybe I'm embellishing. I think it was only 1, but it hurt.
Felt like
It
two.
hurt. It felt like 2. It was a
Yeah.
sucker punch. So, yeah, this is crazy. And I think, honestly, you're going to touch on this again, but Liverpool are having a rocky week, aren't they, Paul?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, we're going to move on to the Champions League. Galatasaray, Andy, ended up beating Liverpool 1-0. So they were 0 for this past week in results in their games across all competitions. Tottenham ended up drawing. Bodo Glimt is a team that I have never heard of before, 2-2. And then Karabag FC, Andy, gets another big result, 2-0 win over Copenhagen. And those are kind of the biggest results so far in the Champions League. So
have you not heard of the Bodo Glimt?
I have not.
So we played them last year.
Okay.
Yeah, at United, played them in the Europa League, and I think they're one of the most northerly teams or football clubs in the world from where they are, I think, in Scandinavia. So I believe they're a Norwegian team, way up there. Sometimes they don't even practice, I guess, in the daylight. I think that's one of the fun facts about them because it's so
far north.
Sometimes they train in full darkness or in full daylight. Just depends on the time of day. So, yep, crazy with that. And then the most easterly team we've had in Karabag FC going it. So lots of extremes happening over here in the Champions League, Paul. So
yeah, that is wild.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up with our super subs and super duds. Paul, who is your super sub of the week?
Yeah, so I'm going to give it to Renato Veiga for Villareal. He ended up coming on 90th minute off of a corner, headed the ball beautifully into the net to salvage a point against Juventus. And Villarreal's really come out swinging this year, Andy, with some good results in the Champions League, sticking in that third position in La Liga. But the biggest part of this super sub goal for Renato, Andy, is it's his first ever goal for the club, and what a time to have it.
Yeah, huge for him in a Champions League format for him. So glad he had that experience and can celebrate with his team for that.
Yes. Who you got?
I'm gonna say for mine, it's Aldo Florenzi of Cosenza. Instant impact, exactly what we want from a super sub. He was subbed in at the 63rd minute, and he scored the game-winning goal in the 64th minute. Cosenza were able to hold on after that, but to come on in and have that instant impact to keep Cosenza's win streak alive, oh, that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling for us in the south of Italy. Paul, now probably our second favorite part of the podcast, or Super Duds. Where are you at? I can tell from that sigh that's something very, I think, close to home.
Yeah, I mean, it's Barcelona. The last 2 games, just not a lot of fight over the last, I would say, game and a half, counting the second half of PSG. Just we need to get back to Barcelona football. We need to get back to playing our brand. We need to get healthy again. Is a big part of it as well. We need to rest up.
Yeah.
Second super dud is whatever the heck happened to this Argentina jersey.
So maybe we touched on this, Paul, but just to maybe give, I guess, some idea of how Barcelona can get back into playing Barcelona ball. What do you think needs to happen? Do you think it's Hansi Flick has to say, enough of the high line, let's just go back to the mid block to keep us more compact? Or what do you think is needed?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. I think in some of these games where we are not possessing the ball as highly or as much of the time as we normally do against some of these teams, when the other team has more time on the ball, they're going to be able to pick passes behind the high line. I think that's definitely part of it. And I think just getting back to kind of that identity of being a little bit cavalier on offense, taking chances on the offensive side of the ball, making runs in behind, being aggressive offensively. So I think it's a combination. I think it's just maybe being a little bit more situationally aware
Mm-hmm.
in some of these games of when we can be aggressive and when we can't be. So,
Yeah.
it's tough watching the team out there look like they're a little bit rudderless, because that's one thing I feel like for the most part Hansi Flick's Barcelona has, I'm not going to say never been, but rarely been, is rudderless, because we always seem to know what our identity is, know what makes us tick. But over this last game and a half, it's looked like, man, we look like more like Xavi's Barcelona towards the end than we do Hansi Flick's right now. So
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like if they can just be maybe a little bit more situationally smart as well, or finding just that new combination where they don't look so rudderless given who they have like on their team,
mhm.
because obviously it doesn't sound like you're able to do the things you want to do without Rafinha in there,
Yeah, and
and the
Fermin
others that are
are the
injured,
two
and
big
Fermin,
things. Yeah, they're the two
so
biggest
it's like,
misses, I would say.
yeah, so it's like, you can do so much with them. So finding a way to make what is their work, I think that sounds like the biggest task Hansi has right now.
Yeah, for sure,
So yeah,
for sure.
hopefully.
Andy, I am really interested to hear about your super dud, because
Okay.
this one hits close to home for me, because Z and I wanted to go to this, and with the event being as close as it is to both of us,
Hmm.
or being able
Yeah.
to go to some of these events with it not being halfway across the world, I'm disappointed. So I'm interested to hear your take on this.
Yeah. Were you plan? I guess the question was, or I was going to ask you, where were you planning on going, uh, for the World Cup? Like
Actually,
what city?
Mexico City or Monterrey.
Really
Yeah, we wanted to go
interesting.
see
Okay.
Mexico play in Mexico,
Yeah,
because the atmosphere would have been absolutely electric, but the ticket
that's
prices are
true.
just
Yeah, it's
astronomical.
it's insane. And I think so. I went on because I know my brother and I have a plan to potentially go see our cousins who live out in LA,
Hmm.
since they are hosting a World Cup game.
Hmm.
Surprise, surprise! Like I think we've probably talked about, Chicago isn't hosting one, which is
Yeah,
kind of
which is,
crazy. I do
yeah,
understand because Soldier Field just sucks ass as a stadium, but to not be in this city that's such a soccer city and such a
yeah,
multicultural hub of world city, I can wax lyrical about my hometown, but
sure.
um, with that, I would say we went on and looked at ticket prices, and yes, we know the West Coast is expensive. Absolutely understand that. Um, but the barrier to entry for this is really kind of insane. When I went on, I think it was, I want to say like 10 in the morning. After the release the tickets, it was the only tickets I could see that were available were on like StubHub or SeatGeek, and the cheapest ticket was $1,000. So
Yeah.
already there, it's going to be poor. And I saw something on my social media feed. I think it was, I don't know if it was TNT Sports or who it was, but there were announcers talking about again the what this is going to do for the atmosphere and for the feeling at these stadiums. And again,
Hmm.
the USA has its own unique challenges because of the car culture that we have of getting to games and the lack of, kind of that community feel around stadiums
Yeah.
to get a
Yeah.
sense of what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
So already it's going to be, I think, it's just going to be a weird atmosphere. It's going to be quiet, I think, and it's going to make for a really, really weird World Cup.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I think,
I don't
kind
know.
of to piggyback off of that, the idea that people or bots or whoever are buying up all these tickets just to resell them,
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
who's going to be at these games? And if they
Yeah.
can't resell these tickets to other fans, how many empty seats are we going to see at these games?
Right, right. Like, are we going to have a thing where we had with the Gold Cup, or
Club World
the
Cup.
Club World Cup, where games were non-existent and tickets were being sold for $9 or just honestly given for free out on the street to get people in to see the game. It felt like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really bad, and something really does have to be done with this. Not just
Yeah.
I think from a sports perspective, I think just an entertainment perspective as a whole with
100%.
this, because it's, you're missing that attitude, you're missing that thing of what draws people to the sport. And if the US really wants to bring the sport and grow the sport, they need to make it easier for general people to go in. I'm not saying that it's like, you offer these tickets for $10 and cap it there. No,
Right.
but you can't have it be $1,000. You can't, like, that's obscene. That's just obscene.
Absolutely.
However you swing it. So
Yep.
they have to find a way. And honestly, if it does, let it be known how that'll make it so that the USA can't try to co-opt every sport and try to make it the best. Because I think this is just a case in point where it's just not going to happen. And if it gets as bad as we think it's going to, I think it's going to have a detrimental effect for U.S. soccer just for U.S. soccer in general.
Yeah.
So
I think the hard part about this too is I don't think FIFA. I mean, I would hope FIFA cares, but I think FIFA is so right.
That's really
right.
funny, Paul. FIFA actually caring. I don't think that happens. But anyway,
they care most about money, right? They sold out all these tickets. They're like, wow, this is great. This is going to be so awesome, blah, 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 blah. But again, when you get these atmospheres and like the fans are going to be like, what am I in if you're at the game, or what am I watching when you're watching the game? It's like, and then FIFA is going to be like, oh, well, we sold all these tickets and it's great. And we're hosting in 3 countries and the sport's never been better. And it's like, open your eyes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. And see that. Cause again, like the model again is like the corporate seats, which is always, I think it's a horrible model for an atmosphere only because, right, a lot of these corporate seats, it's a take it or leave it. Like sometimes they do, and sometimes you'll have it for a little bit. But then again, like, because it's kind of like this wishy-washy spot, like, I don't know if you've been in corporate seating, Paul, ever. I've been fortunate enough to be in corporate seating for baseball, and it really does take away from the sport, because really you're not there to watch the game. You're there to like pop off and have a little conversation, and then you go back in for your refreshments, and you stay by the refreshments, and then you come back out, and fill that in. And so you're not there to absorb the actual sport and see the atmosphere, and you're really away from the atmosphere because you're above the main players for it. So all this to say, I don't have the best confidence that this is going to be a good World Cup, and I think a lot of it's because of these ticket prices and this predatory nature we have towards ticket prices. So
100%.
Yeah, so that's kind of the dud to leave it on. But what we will say that hopefully might make your guys' weeks a little bit better is next week. I don't believe we're going to be podcasting about our teams. We'll connect to see if we're able to pod. Since it's an international break, we might try to change it up. I know we've talked about different things to discuss, but with that little bit of a break, we're going to try to maybe switch things up a bit. So with that little tantalizing teaser, I'm going to leave it at that. So I have been Andy. Paul has been Paul. And with that, I'm wishing you all a big old bye.
Bye. I'm too sad to kiss the badge this week.
Understandable.